Yo, I've been noticing a lot of people want some low investment currency strats, and I totally understand. Personally, I was there. I've been there. I know it sucks to be poor. You can't buy any upgrades, you can't buy any scarabs. You don't know what to do. All the farms you do feel so awful, and it's so frustrating. That's kind of where I was on like the very first day of the league after I tried Red Map Essence. But I just, I took a deep breath and I did them in yellow maps, and we'll talk about that. So I've got a ton of different strategies here that you can do that are somewhat easy. Some are more difficult. Some may require a little investment. I tried to keep it where a lot of these were just like no investment, right? You just use one of your Atlas passive trees and you can eventually buy some scarabs that make it better. You could scale and invest a little bit more into it as time goes on, right? So it's not just elk and go. But there's a lot of tips here for how you can get some currency and get your build up and running. Because I see on the Path of Exile builds subreddit, I'm looking at a lot of people, mainly just the Zerkers, right? I want to help the Zerkers out just because it's the build that I'm playing. And I want people to think it's fun and have fun with it, right? Because it is, and I'm having a blast. So I've been helping a lot of people out, and it seems like a lot of the problems is just not having enough currency. So, to buy gear and upgrades and blah, blah, blah. So here we are with some currency strategies. No more monologuing. First off, I'm not going to have Atlas trees for all these. You should go to max roll and for Milky. I'll do a quick little explanation, like some examples of nodes you'll take or scarabs you'll use before a actual guide and actual layout. Go to the max roll currency section or check out Milky and his Google Sheet and his YouTube channel, which both will be linked below. So to start off, obviously, my very first one was Yellow Map Essences. This is the one that I did. I believe it was, I cleared my Atlas day 1, day 2, and then on day 2, I wanted to start making some currency, right? I always try to just go all the way through my Atlas, picking up whatever I can on the way, and then I'll start doing some currency strats. So for me, it was essences because I was very surprised at how expensive they were. And essences are still not too cheap, so it's still pretty good currency. Now you do them in yellow maps because they're so much easier than red maps. And in a yellow map, you could do something called crystal resonance if your build is decently built. Otherwise, you just don't take this. But this will just give you a bunch of extra essences on the map boss, but the map boss will be very difficult, right? For every essence you do, it adds one, and it'll add the random one. Now, this one with like a rusted essence scarab and on the map device, it wasn't too bad. When you start doing the essence scarab of ascent, which makes them all go a tier up, you're getting a ton of deafening essence, a ton of shrieking, and it actually gets pretty difficult. And I was starting to get some beefy upgrades. And these yellow map bosses were still pretty, they were chugging me. If you're super poor, if your build is like very weak, you can even go as far as doing like magic yellow maps. And I know there's like a lot of FOMO there, and it is a little bit troll, but I'm talking like you're poor, your build sucks. You have to, right? Like if you got 20 chaos, that would be a big deal for you. You could buy a nice ring, right? You could go to the trade site and sort by res and get a nice ring, right? And so you can do stuff like that. You can go to yellow maps. You can do the magic. You can roll them. Even if they're rare, you can roll them to be a lot easier, but you probably don't have currency for that. So, alt spam, augment, get whatever you can on there, but you need to get some currency, right? And this is one of the ways to do it. The little chaos that you have can be used to add a bunch of essences to your map. Where is it? Right, essences, I believe, oh, I don't even have it right now. I have free crafts. I believe it was 6 chaos for 4 of them. That's a great deal. That is an absolute deal if you have the points on the tree. So yellow map essences, that's a great one. I'm going to start chugging through these a little bit faster, so it's not a 30-minute video. Expedition. Oh, you can scale these, right? Like I said, you buy the essence scarabs, you buy the scarab of ascent, being able to do crystal resonance, yada, yada. You just take the difficulty at whatever you can handle. Expedition. It's literally goaded. Okay, this has been my currency strat that I've used on League Start for years. It's so nice. The TLDR for Expedition is if your build is weak, don't take the big boom, right? Right, you have the remnants, just get all the skulls in your map. That's the important part. The remnants can give you good stuff. Those are like the boxes with the mods, but they also have insane modifiers on them. So if you're in red maps and you do the big boom and you blow them all up, now the monsters will always crit you. They're blocking like 85% of attacks. They're hexproof. They have like a bunch of extra life or physical damage reduction. They can't be crit, and they always poison on hit. And then it's like, okay, so one dog jumps at you, crits you, you're poisoned, and now you die. It's like, right? You can't do it. So just put them down, and don't take any of the crazy ones. It's really easy. You just like plunger, plunger, plunger on all the skulls, dodge the mods, and bust it open. Eventually, you'll be able to handle the big boom. But until then, don't do it. You can even do it in yellow maps if the red maps are too difficult. And what you'll get is you're going to get some currency. And what you do, look at this. Guys, aren't you proud? I haven't done a single expedition. Absolutely no currency. What you do is you come to Tujin, and then you scroll, you use your scroll wheel, boom, offer, right? 2C, 2 GCPs. Those are like a couple chaos each. Some regrets, that's another chaos. Some fusings, that's another chaos. Ooh, some chance orbs. You do the vendor in town. You could buy scours with your chance orbs. Boom, there's some more scours, some more regrets, some more scours. And this window, boom, that's like 6 chaos right there. You'll also get some logbooks, which you can run, which are super easy. The logbooks, you just go ahead and you grab all of the blue swirly symbols. It's the expedition symbol. It's just the blue swirls. You just pick those up because those give you artifacts. And then you come back to Tujin and you buy all this. If you want a ROG guide, we do have one on max roll, because ROG's a great way to get a lot of gear, a lot of suppression, a lot of armor. You can even get a big axe. And that's exactly what I'll do if I do an SSF restart, because ROG will provide me all the gear. ROG is love, ROG is life. Logbooks, like I said, yep, just don't click any mods that'll make you go, ouchies. Like don't do anything where it's gonna kill you. Harvest. This one is a little bit weaker compared to the last two, but you can scale it a little bit. It's kind of fun. You get to do harvest. Some people really like harvest. Selling the juice is really easy on the auction house now, right? It's a really simple one where you don't have a bunch of stuff to sell. Whereas essences, you got to sell, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Harvest, you get 3 types of life force, and you just dump them on the auction house. Just make sure you're dumping them at a decent price. I probably wouldn't do harvest if I was doing yellow maps, though. Heist. Heist, you can hit it big, and if you've not done it before, it might be kind of fun. Heist is still pretty good. There's a lot of big spikes with like things like replica Elberons and the random bases that you can get. You can get a lottery win, and that's really cool. Aside from that, you'll still make some currency. You get random bubblegum. You're going to get like maybe some lucky div cards, a couple fossils, random essences, just really bubblegum stuff. And you can sell all this on the auction house for whatever it goes for, because you're poor and you need the currency. But yeah, some people don't like heist. Some people love heist. It's worth trying out if you might like it, because it is pretty easy. It's very accessible. It doesn't require a very good build, right? It's a very, very accessible content. Whereas on the other hand, Sanctum is a little bit less accessible. You have to kind of know what you're doing. You might want to watch, or you probably do want to watch a Sanctum guide, or just like a quick little video giving you some tips, right? You don't have to watch like a 1-hour thing. Just like find some 10-minute, 15-minute Sanctum guide. Because everybody gets 1 free Sanctum every character. All you do is you go to I believe it's Act 10. You're going to talk to the cute little lady here, Davinia or whatever. Visit the Sanctum. You come here. She gives you a free relic, and then she'll give you a free tome. So it's worth trying out, because sometimes you can get like a free divine or 2 off of that low level one. If your build's weak, you can even buy lower level tomes, but this is one where, now you're having to buy 10C, 20C items, right? There's some risk there, and you kind of need a little bit of currency. This is one that you'd probably want to do if you're like a little confident in your build. You got a little currency and you just want to like start ramping it a little bit more. An easy one, if your build's weak, is blight map farming. Now, I'm not talking farming a blight pump in maps. I'm talking farming the blight map, that red blight map where you open it up and it's 1 pump and you have to defend it, right? The actual tower defense. This can be done on really bad builds because it's tower defense. The simple strategy that works very, very well is to build a level 3 freeze, right? The level 3 cold, the level 3 stun, it's like the fist, and then the level 3 empower, that green thing. And when you have the towers next to each other and they're in that empower radius, it will perma-freeze and perma-stun all the monsters coming your way, and then you could make like a meteor tower. And you should, there's like a oil anointment. I'm so sorry, I forget right now. I'm not going to look it up, but it makes burning ground, and that's like a good one that you'd have on your meteor. You could do some other anointments that would make it easier. There's like freeze anointment, empower tower effect, stuff like that. But even without any of that, you could just boot one up. And especially if you're going to do this in like a yellow blight map, which are really cheap, right? Like blight maps right now, not blight ravage, but blight maps. If you buy like T6, right? These are 2 or 3 chaos. Literally impossible to not make money on any of these, and it's free. I swear you could do these on a character that has no resistances, no gear equipped, nothing, right? You just like build a bunch of towers. You might get one shot or something, right? Because you have no res. You can't literally take any hits. But your towers are still going to be there, you know? Just put the portal next to the pump and don't run too far away from your towers or they'll despawn. It would be impossible for you to not make any currency on these. Just make sure you don't roll mods like can't be stunned, action speed can't be modified, you know, chance to avoid, whatever, right? Because we're freezing and we're stunning, so you can't roll that stuff on the map. Or they're just going to walk through all your towers. But look at this. All these maps are so cheap, even the yellow ones. Even like T14s, they're like 6 chaos each. And you're going to get oils, you're going to get currency. You know, it's another bubblegum situation. Just a bunch of stuff that you could sell on the auction house. Super easy, super accessible. Not the most interesting, but it might be something that you enjoy because it's very chill. You can watch some Netflix, you can do whatever, right? It's pretty nice, and it's a little AFKable. If you can just set some towers up, or you can even do an AFK build, but that's for later. You need some gear for that. Elk and Go red maps is the next strategy. Now, Elk and Go red altars. Now, this requires you to have your void stones complete, to have some red maps, and to have a build that can do the red maps. So you need a little bit of gear, but if you've got like a decent build and you just don't have the currency to invest into other strategies, you could do some Elk and Go. And I should have mentioned this earlier, now that we're 12 minutes in, but I'll have some things that you can add to strategies that can just get extra currency, right? And so you would add something onto this, whatever it could be that's fun. Some people do Essence. Some people will farm heist contracts. I don't know if that's very valuable anymore. Maybe just farming like for the heist blueprints, right? But you take all the heist stuff nodes, you just click the smuggler's cache, and it might drop a blueprint like 10, 20 chaos, something like that. But red altars, they give a bunch of glassblower baubles. You get chaos orbs, vol orbs, unmaking orbs. I'm pretty sure you get regrets. You get a ton of random currency from red altars. So just doing maps with red altars, clicking the currency ones, making sure it's not the one that'll kill you, that can make some good currency that can set you up. It gives GCPs and I think instilling orbs too. Like, gosh, it gives everything. Red altars are so crazy. So, like, let's say you have like nothing else on your atlas other than just like red altars, right? You just like click this and this. You're already going to be making like however much chaos per map, right? It's literally just free. Just put it in, go, 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 go. Do some elk and go, right? Not elk and sit in your hideout. Simulacrum is going to require another, you know, like decent kind of well set up build. You know, it can't just be like you have 1C campaign gear or whatever on, but it shouldn't be too crazy right now. Not because it'll be easy to get through all 15 waves, but because the simulacrums are just so darn cheap that even if you can't get all the way through all of the waves, you should be able to make currency off of this. But it is a 33 chaos buy-in. That's why I put it later in the list, right? And you need like a decent enough build. But if you can run these, like, man, 33 chaos for a simulacrum, right? There's a ton of random spike things you can get. There's jewels you can get that are very valuable. Split personalities are not even that rare. Random cluster bases might be like 5, 10, or more chaos if you hit something decent. There can be some really nice ones here. And then a bunch of bubblegum, right? Random essences, fossils, scarabs are going to be a big thing. I should have mentioned that earlier too. Wow, sorry. Disjointed league start, click record videos. But scarabs are very valuable and you get them randomly. And that's one of the things I'll talk about. That, and I sold my scarab tab last night. That's one of the things I'll talk about of adding to all of your atlases, right? Most atlases should just have the scarab nodes. Those are pretty good. And you get some from simulacrums as well. Beast farming. Black Morgaine was added to the base pool. There's a ton of good beasts, and They're all pretty valuable. Now, for that, you'll have to go to PoE Ninja. You'll have to find the beasts. You'll look at all the ones that are expensive. You'll have to go to your menagerie, talk to Einhard to see which beasts you have, and type the names in. It's a little bit tedious, but this can be a pretty decent one, especially if you get like some of the better ones as time goes on. Some of these are going to go up in price as people start doing more and more crafts. But even now, it doesn't look too crazy, actually. I don't know if I'd recommend this just yet. That might be one that picks up a little bit later. If you're watching a little bit later in the league, this might pop off a little bit harder. But getting Blackmore gains, random beasts, it's pretty easy, right? Like you get to guarantee them every map, and it really don't take much to just like kill some random beasts, unless you're doing some crazy altar stuff. Legion's another great one. If you've got a build that shoots projectiles, has like Ignite Prolif, or just has like big AoE, even like Ground Slam, I thought it would be pretty bad, but you know, if you got damage, you're Berserker, right? You got the damage, Ground Slam's huge. Should be able to do some Legion for it. Even in yellow maps, Legions are going to be like decent enough. Again, Scarabs, Currency, Fossil, Incubators, Bubblegum, Essences. You know, you just get a bunch of stuff, random things you could sell in the auction house, a bunch of random stuff. Over time, really adds up. And that's another thing. You might even have currency in your tab, random Scarabs, random, you know, Essences. And you should use, God, what a disjointed video. I'm so sorry. You should use a site like PoE Exchange, poeexchange.maxroll.gg. This site's pretty easy. You can click the try out listings and it'll bring you to this thing where you can click what tabs you have and it'll tell you how much you have in that tab. So last night I clicked my Scarab tab. I was like, how much do I have in Scarabs? You know, how much do I have in fragments? And it turns out I had quite a bit. Right here, I have 2 div and 80 chaos in random Scarabs. And those are the ones I didn't even sell last night. All the random fragments and whatnot. It all adds up over time. Pretty good, pretty easy. To just like see what you got in your stash tabs. Definitely check that out. Because you might have more than you really think. Another strat. Farming Guardian invitations. This one, again, you need a little bit of a build. Shaper Guardians aren't too hard, especially if you just do Scour or easier maps. It doesn't really require you to like juice the Guardian that you're doing because you're doing it for the Fragment and for the Maven invitation progress, right? These maps are like 8 chaos. The Fragment is like 9 to 10. But you're doing it for the invitation progress. And you do the invitation, and you don't even have to buy them anymore, which is nice because those were expensive. But once you've witnessed all 4 of the Shaper Guardians, you see in the top left, you're going to get an invitation. All right, Kirak's going to have an exclamation mark. It's going to have a glowing word. You click the glowing word. He's going to pop something up. And that invitation, now, if you elk it and don't read the mods, you might break it if you have a weak build. So I recommend doing it at least like magic with easy mods. Because if you could do the Shaper Guardians and you're not like too squishy, right, you kind of just want some defense, focus on Hydra, you know, learn some moves. Don't stand in front of the huge bow thing. And, you know, the guy who does the big hammer, right, Minotaur, you know, when he's doing this, don't be under him. Stuff like that. Phoenix explodes, don't be next to him. You know, it's not too hard. And you're going to get some Maven splinters and extra fragments. And so each of these splinters is worth 6 chaos. You're going to get extra fragments. And you can even go ahead and do Shaper as well. Shaper might even be easier than farming these actual invitations. Shaper's like an 8-year-old boss. It's pretty easy for most builds that can kill a red map boss quickly. And the thing with Shaper is, this is about like 36 chaos to do a Shaper run if you buy the fragments. But you can also just be doing the invitation, get extra fragments, right? Because when you do the invitation, it'll also drop fragments. So you get extras as well as whatever you get from the maps you're doing for the invitation progress. Okay, but it costs 36 chaos. Every time you do Shaper, you get an Uber Shaper fragment. You know, you get 60 chaos for this one, 65 for this one, listed on the auction house. I think maybe you can't with these. Either way, you just list them in a tab or just sell them to someone. So it's guaranteed money every time, and it's a 15% chance to get Dying Sun, which is worth like 3 point something divines. That's pretty good, right? It's an easy boss. It's guaranteed money every time, and it's not even that rare to get a multiple divine drop or Orb of Dominance for 120 chaos. Maybe you corrupt a Shaper's Touch to have something decent, right? That's pretty good for a pretty easy boss. So that's another decent one. Not the most fun, but if you're struggling for some currency, there you go. Here we're at the section where here are some things you can add 20 minutes in to any other strategy that you're doing to make free currency. So here I have Delirium Mirror. These right now aren't too poppin'. Definitely don't pick up the splinters one at a time. They're not worth it. All right, you're going to pick up 300 splinters for 30 chaos. Your time's worth more than that, even when you're poor. The Delirium Mirror orbs, though, right? You're doing a Deli Mirror at the end. It's going to drop. If you look at Pewee Ninja, right, stock of 1, you're going to see this with Scarabs too, 1 chaos. These aren't 1 chaos. If you get like 5 or you have like any bulk of orbs at all, it's really like 3 or 4, maybe even more, depending on which orbs you're getting. And these tend to go up over time as well as people start buying them and using them to juice their maps, right? A fossil orb, right? Anytime you have something that isn't just like crap like weapons or armor or whatever, you know, it's going to go up a little bit more. You know, one that drops jewels, 6k, right? You just get a couple. These can sell in the auction house too. And just let them sit at like 4 or 5 chaos. Just let it cook. Someone will buy them. Essences, like I said, essences are pretty easy. You can just add them on to like the red altar strategy. You can add them on to like a few other strategies, maybe like expedition. You could add some free essence on. You know, like the expedition scarabs, like 1 chaos to get a free expedition. So you don't have to don't have to use your Atlas points for like the chance to contain encounters. You could just boost it here. And then you can use your map device to just add some more essences, and you just take some essence nodes. You know, you could do something like that. It's just like a free one. And I say free in quotes because essences are pretty hard. Definitely don't do red maps with crystal resonance. Maybe not even yellow maps with crystal resonance. All right, and that's why it's in like free. Also, you have to pay for it on the map device. Scarab nodes. Scarab nodes are probably the easiest currency for you to have. The biggest mistake you can make on League Start is taking this node, which disables all your Scarab drops, because Scarabs are big money right now. There's not a very good Scarab farm yet, or maybe not at all. Who knows? So just taking like these random Scarab nodes right here, maybe like I did Ambush just because, you know, Ambush Scarabs were worth something, and then this one right here. So these are the 2 big ones. You take the less common variety, and then this one right here. It's really easy. They're like right there. Most people's trees are already right here, and you're going to get more scarabs. And the thing with scarabs is they sell for a lot more than you think. And you could even use, like the TFT bulk selling tool or P Exchange if more people start doing that. You know, you could bulk sell on that too. Or you could just list them from your tab or sell them individually. But if you look here, you price check one of them. It's 1 chaos, 3 chaos, 5 chaos. A few days ago, you know, this says 469%. A few days ago, these were listed on Pewee Ninja at 1 or 2 chaos per. That is a crazy scam because they have all week been going for 8, 9, and 10 chaos all week. And so Pewee Ninja is only just catching up because people are scumbags and they'll list a bunch of things they don't intend to sell at lower prices to fool this website into thinking the scarabs are cheaper than they are. So yeah, that's just PvP economy, but yeah, just make sure you're selling scarabs for like a real price. There are some scarabs that you have that may be very valuable. Using the Pewee Exchange website, right? A website like this, where you click fragment, and you can sort by total price, right? This is telling me my ambush scarabs worth at least 50C. Really, we know they're worth double this, right? They're like 9 or 10 chaos. So really, I have like 100 chaos in ambush, right? And it don't take much. It really does not take much. Like 1 scarab here and there, 15, 10, 30 chaos. And you're a lot richer than you thought you were. You can buy a few good rare items. Elva is something you can add to other strategies. Elva is this girl. She can show up in your map. You do the incursion, and when you enter, it's like a little portal. You talk to her. She cuts her hand. She opens a portal. You enter it, and you're going to spawn in the middle, and you go up or down. And if you press V, I think is the default key for everybody, you'll see whether it'll be one you want to upgrade or swap. So going up always upgrades, going down will swap it to another room. So you just see, do I want to upgrade it? And that's going to be the like Doriani rooms, the gem one, or the corruption chamber. Those are the 2 ones that make big currency. And so if it's a corruption chamber, you just go up. If it's the Doriani whatever, you go up and you upgrade it, right? Because the Doriani one double corrupts gems, which are valuable. The other one just double corrupts gear, which people will want. And then once your temple is done, right, you only get to do so many incursions, and then the temple's like done and locked in. Oh, you have to do the doors, right? You get a stone, click the door while you're in that incursion too. Sorry. But you'll see if you put her in your hideout. I haven't talked to her yet. It's funny. I haven't done an incursion yet this league, so she's not here. But she'll have a big exclamation mark, right? And you will itemize that temple. Don't open it. Itemize it, and then you can sell that. You just price check whatever that room is, the corruption T3 or the Doriani, whatever, and you get to sell it. And they'll sell for pretty decent, right? It's a little RNG. And at this point, not too many people might be buying these. But again, if you're watching later or you just want to do it and you think it's fun, that's totally fine. And you can make some currency off of that, right? Like probably 50 plus chaos if you get one of those rooms. Things that'll make currency but are probably too hard or expensive. Obviously, this is more for like entry level, like you're poor and your gear sucks, and you just like are trying to have fun, right? Like it's a video game. You want to have fun. It shouldn't be a struggle and a stressor. So these are things that will be a little bit of a struggle, will be a little bit of a stressor, but you can look forward to farming them, or if you've got some currency and you want to ramp a little bit harder, these can be some fun things. So Uber Elder or Elder, doing these bosses is good currency, and it is always good currency every league. Now, the boss drops that you get for gear aren't always so valuable, but the Watcher's Eye are always, always, always very valuable. And what you'll do is you won't ID it. And I know that's sacrilege. Okay, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't dare on stream not ID a Watcher Eye, but you will not ID the Watcher Eye. You'll sell them unidentified. You'll have to price check them unidentified, but whatever it is, it's always worth it. It's going to be like a Divine Plus or something like that. For the 2 mods, which come from Elder, or depending on which one you do, you'll get a different item level on the Watcher Eye, which determines whether it will identify with 2 or 3 mods. So Uber Elder gives 3, Elder gives 2. So depending on which one you do, it's a little RNG though. So if you don't get a Watcher Eye to sell, then you're going to run out of currency and you're going to be big mad. So be warned. Harvest, high investment. Harvest is just kind of hard if you're doing high investment in red maps after you click altars and all that. So just be warned. It can be really fun though. There's some really neat stuff you can do with Harvest. All of the crop rotation stuff. That's some high level strategy to look into on your own. But it can be pretty fun, and Life Force is really easy to sell. This is one I did last league, and it was one of the only farms that I had where I was very comfortable doing it, and it was like fun because I could just sell one thing. I don't have to sell a bunch of random things. But now that we have the currency exchange, selling all the stuff isn't so bad. So, but it's even easier for Harvest then. T17 fragment farming. Obviously, T17s, they're pretty difficult. You can make it a little bit easier with an easier build and rolling these, but there's a big entry cost. But there's also some decent reward. If you farm the fragments in these maps, you will get more currency back than you put in. And because the fragments are for Uber bosses, and the Uber bosses are going to be pretty difficult for people to do, and people don't really want to run them and have the RNG of maybe not making currency. So the drops are pretty valuable, but you need cheap damage to do it cheaply. That's stuff like Archmage, maybe, but definitely Hex Blast. Blight farming for Blight Ravage. Blight Ravage maps are going for pretty expensive because of the prismatic oils. So, 30, 40 chaos for a Blight Ravage map. If you can farm these decently, then it could be pretty good, but it sounds like it's going to be a pretty difficult farm. They might be falling off. I know like the actual Blight maps are falling really hard, which is nice if you're poor and you want to make easy currency, but it's not nice if you're farming the maps, in a red map. T14s are like 6 or 7 chaos each. T15s are 7 siege. Like, geez, man. Tier 16s, if you go force them, you're getting 12. But the Blight Ravage is where the money's at, 48, 50, depending on which one. 40, 40, 40, 30 something. That's pretty good. Essences in red maps. If you could do it with Crystal Resonance, you're probably making hella currency. In red maps, it doesn't even have to be in red maps, right? This could just be in yellow maps, but with Resonance specifically and some investment. So, like 3 or 4 of those rusted essence to add a bunch of essences, and then the Ascent Scarab to make them all a tier higher with Crystal Resonance gives you like an extra 8, 9, or 10 essences every map, because the boss is extra hard from each essence you did in your map. You know, it adds one, so it gets harder, but then you get an extra free essence if you can kill the boss quick. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Ambush Jungle Valley. It's the strat I'm doing that you've been watching, that I've been farming on stream. This is an investment strat. You got to have some currency, right? It'd be silly to not include that in the video, at least at the end. You got to have 8 mod maps, which are difficult to farm. Watch the video if you want to know how. It requires investment, but I did another set of 40 maps last night. I think I put in, it was around 20 something, and I pulled out like 40 something div out of the maps. It was something like that, with all of the random everything and, you know, all the random whatever that I pulled out. So it was like, well, however much profit over 40 maps. You know, it's pretty good. And I'm just clicking stuff. You know, like once you have it set up, like, right, I'm just clicking currency. It's pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. And it's really easy stuff. Like it was mostly raw currency, some div cards I turn in and sell, and blah, blah, blah. Ritual. Ritual is very RNG. A lot of people really love it or hate it. So you might be one of the ones that enjoy it. The mobs did get nerfed. It's not as hard as it used to be. So it could be a pretty fun one, but it's very, very RNG heavy. You can invest into it, and you could maybe fill some vessels, the ritual vessels, you fill them, and you could sell those to somebody else. But yeah, ritual can be fun. Something to look into if you want. Something fresh and spicy. New corpses, new boss, new drops, you know, a new kind of little refresh on ritual. Might be worth looking into. Beyond, you could add this to some strats, but it's pretty difficult. Tainted fusings are selling for like 50 something chaos last time I checked. But the tainted fusings are pretty rare. You're just going to get a bunch of random other tainted stuff. The monsters are pretty hard, so you know, it's a little bit of a rough one, and you're just probably going to die if you have a weak build and you try this. Ultimatum farming is really good, but you have to be able to handle all the inscription mods. The inscription mods are pretty rough on a lot of builds. So this needs a specialized build. That's why I don't really like recommend that. And you have to have investment into all the scarabs to be farming the inscriptions to get the raw div. But like Sanctum, this is a raw div farm. I should have Sanctum on here, right? Sanctum, I have Sanctum, but like that was low level Sanctum. You know, Sanctum is another one that prints, but you kind of want a more specialized build, and it needs some knowledge. I did have a lot of caveats, so it should be fine. Last one, as we had 30 minutes in the video. Again, rolling flasks or tinctures. I don't know why I didn't do this one earlier. This is easy. It's not hard at all. Why did I put this in this spot? I guess like maybe it's just kind of annoying and you need whatever, but yeah, rolling your flasks, not your flasks, excuse me, having an 85 flask base, like a granite and alteration spamming on it until you hit like gain 3 charges and something good, charge recovery and something good, right? Like it can be armor, evasion, reduced effective shock, reduced effective curse, movement speed. You know, there might be a few other ones. You just need to use the trade macro and price check them. So like this flask right here, a granite flask. This is double T1, but it's double T1 with alterations and augments, right? It's really not that impressive. 1.5, 1.6, 2 div. That's kind of crazy, right? Quicksilver with charge recovery and reduce effective curses. I rolled this with alterations. That's about a div. This one, charge recovery, evasion rating on a Jade. 45, 60 chaos, right? With alterations and augments, you know, those things you get so easily. Yeah, it's pretty good, but you want to buy an 84, 85 base, and then, right, like try to roll them to be decent. But you just price check, and you're going to get ones that you might be able to sell for 10 chaos, whatever, sell it, get another base, and keep on rolling. That's a pretty good one. Anyways, I hope this helps, because I know it's early in the league. A lot of people are wondering how they can make some currency. They're struggling with upgrades, wondering if they should re-roll because their build isn't feeling good. No, you should invest into your character and do a strategy you find fun and is comfortable so that you're having fun while you're making currency. So you want to boost your build even further and not look forward to a re-roll, as that's not going to solve your problem. Better gear will. Anyways, look to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the live stream. Bye.